At the ranch, O.J. Haywood meets his dad, Otis. Otis believes their horses will get to be in a show again, so they won't have to sell them. O.J. tries to call his sister since she hasn't shown up yet, but his phone breaks. Suddenly, they hear a loud noise from the sky, and something zooms by them. When O.J. looks back, he sees his dad falling off his horse. O.J. rushes his dad to the hospital, but Otis passes away because a small piece of metal went into his eye. O.J. goes back to the ranch later and discovers that Otis's horse, Ghost, was also hurt with a sharp object. After several months, O.J. prepares one of their horses, Lucky, for filming. Director Finn Bachman thinks about Otis, whom he worked with previously. A crew member quietly informs him that Otis died from something that fell from the sky. Finn doesn't react with sympathy. He immediately starts working. Under the guidance of the cinematographer, Antlers Holst, O.J. attempts to provide instructions to the crew on how to handle Lucky, but he struggles with communication. Fortunately, his sister Em shows up and takes charge. She proudly mentions that the first movie ever made featured a man riding a horse. However, it's forgotten in history that their ancestor, Alastair Haywood, was the horse rider in that movie. Then she talks about how to safely handle Lucky before ending her speech by mentioning her other abilities. The team decides to practice, but O.J. believes Lucky needs a rest. Still, the crew insists, and someone startles Lucky with a shiny ball, making the horse panic and kick the makeup artist. As a result, the Haywoods lose their job. On their way home, they visit a Wild West-themed park called Jupiter's Claim. While exploring, Em spots a well that takes photos of people looking down. Because they're struggling with money, O.J. has to sell Lucky, and he admits to his sister that he's already sold 10 of their other horses. But he promises her he'll get them back. Before he talks to the boss, O.J. asks Em to wait, saying she talks about her other jobs too much instead of the family business. Em says she only promotes the family business as a side thing. O.J. has no choice but to let her meet the boss, Jupe Park, who Em knows used to be an actor when he was a kid. O.J. talks about getting the horses back later, which surprises Jupe. Instead, Jupe offers O.J. the same deal he offered his dad. Then Em sees a picture from one of Jupe's old shows, Gordy's Home, where a chimpanzee actor went wild during filming. Jupe gets excited and shows them a secret room where he keeps stuff from Gordy's home. Em wonders what happened, and Jupe tells them about hiding under a table when the chimpanzee attacked people. But he doesn't seem bothered, saying it's a legendary story. On their way home, O.J. tells Em that Jupe wants to purchase the ranch. That night, the siblings raise their glasses in honor of their father. Em remembers a horse named Jean Jacket, which she was supposed to train first, but their father sold it. Despite this, O.J. admires their father for changing the industry and is determined to keep the business. Suddenly, they spot Ghost outside, so O.J. goes to investigate. He hears the radio playing loudly from the house and asks Em to lower the volume. Ghost then runs off, prompting O.J. to hop in their buggy to search for it. Instead, he sees lights coming from Jupiter's Claim, where Jupe is hosting an event. Something screeches in the sky and the lights flicker at the Haywoods' home. O.J. glimpses something darting between the clouds and rushes back home. Later, he confides in Em that he never understood their father's death. Later that night, O.J. hears Ghost make a noise that is unlike any sound he has ever heard from a horse. Em asks O.J. what he saw, and O.J. describes seeing a large, quick, and quiet creature. Em is inspired to create a website about UFO sightings the following day. While shopping for equipment, O.J. talks excitedly about the money they could make from photo evidence and creating a platform to tell their stories. At the checkout, the cashier, Angel Torres, sees the cameras they are buying and asks if they were recently stolen. O.J. explains that they have been having blackouts, and O.J. also mentions that his cell phone has also lost power. Angel says that a cell phone's battery doesn't just die unless they're in a UFO hotspot. Angel delivers the equipment and helps O.J. set up the cameras. It's during this time that Angel shares his theory that UFOs may be alien visitors from outer space or creatures intent on destroying entire planets. Em comes back with a bunting-wrapped horse statue, which O.J. immediately suspects she bought it. After he's finished getting ready, Angel asks the siblings what they're up to, but they won't tell him. That night, O.J. hears sounds coming from the barn where the horses live. He listens, then turns the lights off. As he's about to leave the house, the power comes back on, and he hears a thumping sound behind him. He sees a strange creature behind him, so he grabs his phone to take a photo. More creatures appear behind him, forcing O.J. to back away. He instinctively punches the creature behind him. The person in the costume grovels before rejoining the others, alerting O.J. that they are not going to mess with Jupiter's Claim. game. As they're leaving, M shows up and OJ tells her they're Jupe's sons, who set their horse Clover free. M gets mad, but OJ reminds her she took their horse statue. OJ looks outside for Clover while M checks the camera footage. She gets scared seeing something big, but it's just a praying mantis on the lens. Suddenly, Angel calls to tell her one of their cameras isn't working, which he's watching remotely. Outside, OJ finds Clover and tries to bring it back, but the horse hesitates. Then it runs away just as a little tornado forms around the horse statue and it disappears fast. Back at the store, Angel looks at the Haywoods' camera feed and tells M to get rid of the mantis. Then all the other horses at the barn start acting strange, and M gets suspicious. She peeks up at the sky and sees a cloud that isn't moving like the other ones. She screams to her brother that there's something in the clouds and he should run. OJ runs out just as something comes out of the strange cloud. OJ heads for a shed and watches the UFO disappear back into the cloud. At the house lights flicker, and M's phone loses communication with Angel. This disturbs Angel, who adjusts the camera and tells M that it's working. She climbs on the roof and throws candy at the mantis that's blocking the camera. OJ watches Clover run away while the UFO hovered above them. He follows her and sees Clover being chased by the UFO. Suddenly, a gust of wind blows past and Clover disappears. Later at the house, the siblings gather around. M wants to go, but OJ wants to study the footage. OJ tells her that the UFO will not return that night, but M doesn't want to take any risks. OJ advises her to go alone because he has to take care of the horses, but she can't leave him. The following day, she calls Antlers to offer him a documentary project. She promises to capture the impossible shot. Antlers tells her that following her dream could lead her on a never-ending journey before hanging up. Later that day, Angel visits the siblings. M tells him that checking the camera feed is against the law, but Angel shows him evidence of the cloud, which has not moved day or night for the last 6 months. This makes OJ wonder if he is looking at the same cloud he has been watching. OJ recalls that the UFO did not move like a normal spaceship, leaving them confused about its identity. In 1998, on a live taping of Gordy's home, the cast were celebrating the birthday of the chimp in front of a live audience. When a balloon popped, the chimp became aggressive and the audience began to panic and run. Young Jupe was hiding under a table and saw his on-screen mom, Mary Jo, being attacked by Gordy. Meanwhile, his on-screen dad, Tom, was trying to escape, but Gordy chased him off the stage and beat him. Jupe froze in terror as he saw one of Mary Jo's sandals standing oddly upright. Gordy came back and sat down beside Mary Jo's motionless body as if he was trying to wake her. When she didn't move, he finally noticed Jupe, who was hiding under the table, and came over to him offering a fist bump. Gordy shot Jupe in the head, right in front of him. Today, Jupe is sitting in his office, surrounded by the memories of that day, as his wife Amber helps him relax and get ready for their upcoming show. Meanwhile, OJ comes across a flyer from Jupiter's Claim and realizes that Lucky might be involved in their new show. Determined, he sets off to retrieve him. At Jupiter's Claim, Jupe is the host of the show, which he dedicates to Mary Jo, a veiled figure in the audience. He informs the audience that his family has witnessed a remarkable phenomenon over the past 6 months, which he will unveil today. Jupe recounts the first night when he was with his horse, Trigger. Suddenly, a mysterious flying saucer appeared from the mist and abducted Trigger. As Jupe reveals Lucky in a cage, he vividly describes the encounter with the flying saucer. He assures the audience that they will witness this extraordinary event in just an hour. Just before then, Jupe's sons take the stage in their costumes to perform. Above them, a roaring sound fills the air as something carries a line of bunting. The audience notices the strange, motionless cloud where the UFO usually appears. Surprised by its early arrival, Jupe urges the audience to remain in their seats. They proceed to open Lucky's cage, but the horse doesn't move. Suddenly, the power shuts off and the wind intensifies, causing Mary Jo's veil to lift, revealing her disfigured face from Gordy's attack. As Jupe stares at the sky, members of the audience are lifted into the creature's grasp. They cry out in terror and agony as they're enveloped by the fleshy material. When OJ arrives at the theme park, he finds it completely deserted, with only Lucky remaining. However, he spots the UFO and tries to coax Lucky to join him while hiding under the entrance. Unfortunately, the UFO detects him and attempts to draw him in. As night falls, OJ awakens in the park with Lucky by his side. Quickly, he loads Lucky into the truck and dials his sister to alert her about the creature that consumed everyone in the park. Meanwhile, Angel's van stalls on his way home, and he becomes aware of an approaching threat. The power cuts out at the Haywood house, and Angel rushes back to warn M of the impending danger. Seeking refuge under a table, he urges M to take cover, but she is paralyzed by fear as screams echo from above. Suddenly, the creature emits a deafening deafening roar, silencing the screams. It expels the foreign objects it ingested along with its victims, showering the house in a gruesome rain of blood. Outside, OJ's truck grinds to a halt upon entering the creature's domain. He remains still as the storm descends upon him. Suddenly, all is quiet, prompting OJ to look up and confirm the presence of the alien hovering above, shielding him from the downpour. He remains silent inside, hoping to evade detection by the creature, until M's stolen horse statue crashes into his windshield. By morning, the power returns, rousing OJ from his sleep. He cautiously makes his way to the house. Spotting him, M implores Angel to leave with them, but he believes it's safer to stay put. Meanwhile, OJ sneaks toward Angel's van and opens the door. Angel and M hastily exit the house, but the music abruptly stops as the alien descends. Nonetheless, the trio manages to escape in the van. The following evening, the news reports on the disappearances at Jupiter's claim, capturing Antler's attention. After dinner, OJ tries to persuade M and Angel to continue their investigation of the alien, but they are too frightened. However, their resolve wavers when M receives a phone call. The next day at the ranch, Antlers joins the trio, fascinated by the motionless cloud. Eager to witness the creature, he expresses his desire to see it in action. OJ explains that the creature, whom he dubs Jean Jacket, will emerge when it's hungry. Reflecting on recent events, he observes that the creature didn't react well to the horse statue. M suggests they may have angered it, but OJ clarifies that it was Jupe who upset the creature by attempting to exploit it for profit. OJ emphasizes the importance of forming a mutual agreement with the creature to train it effectively. Antlers proposes the idea of using horses as bait to lure Jean Jacket out, but OJ volunteers to take on the task himself. In the following days, Antlers devises a plan to film Jean Jacket, opting for a wind-up video camera to avoid electrical interference. Meanwhile, Angel procures equipment from the store, and M repairs and gathers sky dancers from Jupiter's claim. One night, Angel ponders the significance of their actions. Despite moments of doubt, he convinces himself that their work is crucial, potentially bringing them fame, fortune, and perhaps even hero status. However, their excitement is overshadowed by a palpable sense of fear that permeates the team's silence. The following day, they spring into action. Antlers and Angel position themselves under a camouflage net with their cameras ready, while M sets up a series of sky dancers across the ranch. Meanwhile, OJ rides Lucky across the property, noticing one sky dancer already malfunctioning. M checks the surveillance cameras and sees the malfunctioning sky dancer reactivating, attributing it to a faulty battery. Suddenly, a motorcyclist arrives, prompting M to confront him. Instead of leaving, the rider interrogates her about the disappearances at Jupiter's claim, revealing himself as a paparazzo. When M refuses to provide answers, the rider speeds off across the ranch. Panicked, M rushes to the monitors, observing the sky dancers deactivating, indicating Jean Jacket's approach. At the same time, the rider's electric motorcycle malfunctions, throwing him onto the road in agony. Reacting swiftly, OJ rushes to aid him, but his radio cuts off, severing communication. Despite the rider's pain, he prioritizes retrieving his camera to film the accident. Fortunately, the sky dancers reignite, signaling Jean Jacket's departure. OJ attempts to assist the man onto his horse, but he insists on capturing his mishap first. Suddenly, all the sky dancers and cameras abruptly shut down. OJ catches a glimpse of the creature's reflection in the rider's helmet, prompting him to apologize and flee on horseback. Jean Jacket swiftly descends and snatches the rider, with OJ nearby. Hearing the rider's screams, OJ spots Jean Jacket coming his way. Despite the danger, OJ stays still, avoiding the creature's gaze as it grabs the sky dancers. Once Jean Jacket moves away, OJ rides off, but the alien hides behind the mountains. Suddenly, Jean Jacket reappears, so OJ turns and flees. He then deploys a parachute, which the alien grabs. This allows OJ to leap off Lucky and into a shed. As the alien passes by, OJ breathes a sigh of relief, watching it zoom back into the sky. The team celebrates their successful plan. But Antlers decides to head to the mountains with his camera to get a better look at the alien. Quickly, Jean Jacket goes straight towards Antlers. Even though Jean Jacket sucks him in, Antlers keeps filming, taking the camera with him. Then Jean Jacket goes after Angel, but a strong gust of wind blows a tarp over him, pushing him away. Jean Jacket then heads towards the barn and tears apart the roof. M gets thrown, but thankfully lands safely near the house. After Jean Jacket leaves, Angel tries to run, but gets tangled in barbed wire. Thinking fast, he wraps more barbed wire around himself just before the alien sucks him up. However, the wires prevent him from being taken completely, so he manages to stumble back out. M, injured, starts to walk away while Jean Jacket changes its shape. It hovers near the shed where OJ is hiding. OJ instructs his sister to take the rider's bike and leave. Despite feeling guilty, M heads towards the bike. However, Jean Jacket extends its form and starts moving towards M, causing the motorcycle to suddenly lose power. Seeing this, OJ quickly mounts Lucky again to divert the alien's attention. Jean Jacket shifts its focus to OJ, but the motorcycle remains unresponsive. Feeling hopeless, M urges her brother to escape, but OJ refuses to leave her behind. As he cautiously backs away, Jean Jacket reveals its strange square mouth with dangling skin. Finally, when the alien moves far enough, the motorcycle springs back to life. M screams, drawing Jean Jacket's attention towards her as she speeds away on the motorcycle. She reaches Jupiter's claim and releases a blow-up mascot to lure the alien. M then collects coins from the ground and tosses them into the wishing well. Jean Jacket follows the mascot into the sky as M snaps photos of the creature using the wishing well. After the alien grabs the balloon, M snaps one last clear photo before it zooms off. When the balloon bursts inside the alien, it finally puts an end to Jean Jacket. Feeling a mix of excitement and tiredness, M falls to the ground just as the press shows up, finally spotting the alien. Instead of going towards them, M heads off and finds her brother outside, safe and sound. And with this, the movie comes to an end. Thanks for tuning in, guys.